Andy Ogles, Republican representative from Tennessee, had his home raided by the FBI after facing scrutiny over campaign financing and concerns of ethics violations. Ogles is perhaps best known for being an avid Trump supporter. He's currently serving his first term in Congress, but he seems determined to make a name for himself. Shortly after Vice President Kamala Harris announced her bid for the presidency, Ogles introduced articles of impeachment against her.
So there's so much to unpack, right? The last 2 weeks have been historic for a number of reasons, none of it good.
No.
But as to whether or not the articles of impeachment go anywhere, there's two paths that can be taken. One, this was essentially offered in the normal vein, which means it would have to be brought to the floor by leadership. But what I did is these were drafted in a privileged form. And so we passed these by the parliamentarian. And so what does that mean? What it means is that I could go basically to the House floor. I could call up the privilege and it would force a vote on it. But it's important. And I'll be honest with you, whether they pass or don't pass isn't as important as having this tough conversation.
This story really has nothing to do with any of that, but why are Republicans acting like they suddenly care about impeachments? They just nominated for the second time since it happened a guy who got impeached twice in one presidential term. Ogles is, like I said, just trying to make a name for himself and sucking up to Trump with that. Anyway, News Channel 5 Investigates, a local Nashville news program, reported last year that Ogles had given his own campaign a $320,000 personal loan according to the campaign's financial disclosure forms. Ogles maintains that it was all just a reporting error. It was supposed to just be a $20,000 loan. Well, the FBI has now raided his home and taken his cell phone, all in connection with the alleged $320,000. In a statement on X on Tuesday, Ogles says, "It has been widely reported for months that my campaign made mistakes in our initial financial filings. We have worked diligently with attorneys and reporting experts to correct the errors and ensure compliance going forward. Last Friday, the FBI took possession of my cell phone. It is my understanding that they are investigating the same well-known facts surrounding these filings. I will, of course, fully cooperate with them, just as I have with the Federal Election Commission. I am confident all involved will conclude that the reporting discrepancies were based on honest mistakes and nothing more." So according to Ogles, he has been cooperating with attorneys and experts since the alleged discrepancy was made public, but typically the FBI doesn't raid the homes of public officials who are cooperating with investigations. In May of this year, Ogles filed 11 amendments to his campaign finance reports with the Federal Election Commission going all the way back to April of 2022. He released a statement saying, "I pledged $320,000 to use toward my own campaign efforts if needed. That $320,000 pledge comprised several documented assets, including bank and retirement accounts. While we only needed to transfer $20,000, unfortunately, the full amount of my pledge was mistakenly included on my campaign's FEC reports." But Phil Williams, a reporter from News Channel 5, says that 2 years ago, Ogles reported having $283,338 cash on hand, only to later claim to have just $2,462 on hand. So the debts and obligations discrepancy can't reasonably be attributed to a potential typo, accidentally adding the 3 in front of the $20,000, if the amended report also shows a $281,000 cash on hand discrepancy. But this isn't the first time Ogles has had some shady money dealings. Phil Williams is back at it again, reporting that Ogles raised $25,000 for a child burial garden that never came to be. According to Williams, after suffering the loss of a newborn baby in 2014, Ogles used a photo of his own stillborn child to raise money for a children's burial garden via a GoFundMe campaign. The garden was supposed to be called Lincoln's Place, Lincoln being the name of the deceased baby, and the GoFundMe page asked people to donate to his burial garden because no family should have to bury their child, no child should be alone. The garden was meant to have a life-size statue of Jesus to watch over the children and benches. I think benches come standard in most gardens and parks, but it was nice that he included them. So he raised nearly $25,000 for a garden, but then when it never happened, Ogles blamed his lack of progress on government bureaucracy, saying, "What we found over the past year as we have been going through this process is that burials are heavily regulated." However, others have come forward saying they were willing to help Ogles with the project, but they never heard much from him. Ogles said that none of the money has been spent, but it never went back to the donors either. So where did it go? No one knows. When Williams asked Ogles about the missing money, Ogles simply did not respond to the questions. Instead, Ogles released a statement painting himself as a victim of vile journalism, implying that the journalist was exploiting the death of his child. He offered no answers or evidence as to where the money went. And then there's the question of his resume. According to reporting from Williams again, Ogles claims to have done graduate work at Vanderbilt and Dartmouth universities, but that's questionable. He also claimed to be an economist, a former law enforcement officer, and an expert on international sex crimes. According to his website, at one point, Ogles stated that he studied policy and economics at Middle Tennessee State University. However, reporting found that he didn't have a degree in economics or policy. He instead studied international relations with minors in psychology and English. Ogles has since updated his website and removed that bit about policy and economics. The bit about Vanderbilt and Dartmouth turned up not on Ogles' website, but on his Ballotpedia page and a few other places where it said he went to Vanderbilt's Owen Graduate School of Management and Dartmouth's Tuck School of Business. Well, he wasn't technically enrolled in either of those schools. He received certificates for attending non-degree classes at both schools, which is fine if that's how it's disclosed, but he was asked about it at a GOP forum. The moderator asked if he was a graduate of Owen School of Business, and he said, "Executive education." Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Executive education, which refers to those certificate programs, is not the same as having been accepted into a school and then graduating from that school with a degree. Regarding the FBI raid, Ogles supporters think that it's suspicious that his home got raided after he introduced articles of impeachment against Kamala Harris. They do not, however, think it's suspicious that his home got raided after dealing with the feds on this campaign finance discrepancy for months. They also think that Obama is behind all of this because I don't know.
I've seen the footage of
You've seen footage of
shredded children's bodies. And that's my taxpayer dollars. We're going to bomb those kids.
So I think we should kill them all, if that makes you feel better. Everybody, come on.
Yes.
A constituent is walking by his side and making it clear that she does not want her tax dollars to be used to murder, to slaughter other people's children over in Gaza. And instead of this dude saying, "Ma'am, I understand. Let me tell you what my position is on this issue and why," he just says, "We ought to kill them all." Yeah, let's just listen to that one more time.
We're going to bomb those kids.
So I think we should kill them all, if that makes you feel better. Everybody, come on.
Yes.
Now, what this congressman said is despicable in every single way. He showed absolutely no empathy for the suffering that is happening over in Gaza. There are deaths, there's famine, there's destruction of infrastructure. And I just want you to wrap your minds around this because you heard what he had to say twice. Kill them all. The constituent that was having this conversation with him, she only focused on children. She didn't even talk about the men and the women and others who are she didn't say anything about adults. She said children. And this dude had the pure unadulterated gall to fix his mouth to say, "Kill them all." He didn't flinch and he didn't hesitate.
On average, a child is killed every 10 minutes in Gaza. 1.5 million people have been displaced and are looking for shelter anywhere they can find it. But nowhere and no one is safe. Nowhere and no one is safe. The situation on the ground is impossible to describe. Hospital corridors crammed with the injured, the sick, the dying, morgues overflowing, surgery without anesthesia, tens of thousands of displaced people sheltering at hospitals. Since the 7th of October, WHO has verified more than 250 attacks on healthcare in Gaza and the West Bank, in addition to 25 attacks on healthcare in Israel. hospitals, clinics, patients, ambulances. The health system is on its knees. And yet, somehow, it's continuing to deliver some life-saving care.
Let me tell you something, sisters and brothers, family and friends. We should care very deeply about this. This is problematic that there's a lack of love and care and concern for what is happening in the Gaza by certain representatives like him. Now, he's a Republican, but there's other Democrats rocking the same way. I want you to know that what happens over there happens over here. The decay that is happening over here is a reflection over there. And of course, we can't get some people who think like this man to care about what is happening, the slaughter of children over there in the Gaza, because he really don't give a damn about what's happening here. You know, I pull up a stat. I mean, we can talk a lot of stats, but I just, happen to look up Tennessee. I'm saying this constituent asked about children. What's happening with the children in Tennessee? And the child and family poverty rate, almost 300,000 Tennessee children, 18 years and younger, lived in households with incomes below the federal poverty line. Now, that's just one stat of many that we can have a conversation about. And I got to thinking, he don't give a damn about the children in Tennessee. So there's no way in the hell he's going to care about the children over in the Gaza. But to have that kind of callous, it's even bigger than callous indifference. He just does not give a damn. I mean, that's what we're dealing with right here. Why isn't there total outrage over him making a statement like this? Is outrage only reserved for people like Representative Tlaib or Representative Omar? I hope we walking down the same street on this. This is a problem, America, and we're gonna have to deal with it. An elected official, somebody that is in the Congress, said kill them all. Saying that means genocide. That's exactly what that is. Just kill them all. That's what the man said. That's what he's advocating for. I would hope that the good people of Tennessee are not happy with what this congressperson just said. I hope you ain't rolling like that. In the Gaza, almost 30,000 people have been murdered. Almost half of those are children. And that is not even taking into consideration the people who are still alive, who are maimed and injured. Famine and disease is spreading in the Gaza right now. This is happening to human beings right now, and it's being done in our name. Sisters and brothers, family and friends, you might say, well, S&T, why would you say that? I am saying that because the very bombs that are being given to the right-wing government of Israel are bombs that are made right here in the good old United States of America. So we are complicit in every single way possible. But to have people in elected office who are willing to say the quiet part out loud, which is to genocide these folks. I mean, he really sounds like the prime minister over there, Netanyahu, who is running a very right-wing government, who has said in the past and continues to say to this day that under his watch, there will not be an independent Palestinian state. Now, how are we going to roll with that? You can't war your way to peace. And we certainly cannot deal with freeing hostages, talking about what the future looks like over there while people are making war. I mean, think about this. When there was a temporary pause, that was the time when hostages were exchanged. So you can't exchange hostages under gunfire or war. This is bigger than gunfire, bombs. We have got to say that is what is happening in the Gaza is not right. And it is not right. And the world is speaking out. But let me tell you who's not. So it would be one thing if this particular Congressman, Andrew, was the only one that felt this way. But just recently, the question was called. This is the third time that the question was called before the UN Council. Should the UN call for a ceasefire in Gaza? And here's how the Security Council voted. This is important. United States, no. And the United States has untoward influence. So guess what? The ceasefire is not going to happen. You know who said yes? Algeria, China, Ecuador, France, Japan, Mozambique, the Republic of Korea, the Russian Federation, Sierra Leone, Slovenia, Switzerland, okay? And then abstain, the United Kingdom. And abstaining is just like, being a coward, cowering in the corner, because either it's going to be yes or no. Now, Prince William just recently spoke out and said, hey, y'all need to stop this. Now, we got a problem when somebody of the British crown is a little more progressive than the folks over here who run in the United States of America. Listen, family and friends, sisters and brothers, wherever you stand on this issue, the one thing that we should unite on is that innocent people should not be slaughtered. And that is what is happening over in the Gaza right now. But by the grace of God, it could be any of us. So we have got to care. And in particular, we should not tolerate, and I really don't use that word often in terms of not tolerating, but when it comes to an issue like this, we should not tolerate elected officials just out there in the United States saying kill them all, because it's Gazans today, it's the people of it's Palestinians today. Who will it be tomorrow? It just might be you, or it just might be me, that somebody like him gets a chance to say just kill them all. This is food for thought. This is real life. I want to know what you think.